Hey friends, welcome back to another cooking video. I am back today with some more crockpot meals. These seem to be the most popular videos on my channel. I have 4 very easy and delicious meals to share with you today. And I just love using my crockpot during the summer season, especially on those hot summer days when I just don't feel like grilling, but I also don't want to heat up my house using the oven or the stovetop. Crockpots are great all year long, and I hope you will enjoy these meals. So let's head on over to the kitchen and let's get started. To start out the video, we're going to be making some sausage and cheese tortellini. This was super good. So to get started, I'm going to cook about a pound of Italian sausage in my skillet here. I'm just going to quickly break it all apart, and then I'm going to add in half of a small diced onion, and I'm going to let this cook all the way through. Once my sausages are cooked, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of minced garlic and let this cook for another 30 seconds, just until it becomes nice and fragrant. Now, if you're doing this in the morning and you're short on time, then you can always prep this the night before. That way, when you get up in the morning, all that's left to do is to dump everything inside your slow cooker. So now that the sausages are cooked, we're going to grab our slow cooker, and I did spray mine with some cooking spray. And now in the bottom, I'm going to be adding some frozen cheese tortellini. This is 700 grams of tortellini, and I'm going to be using about 3/4 of this, or you can use a 20-ounce bag. Then I'm going to dump my sausages right in there on top of my tortellini. Here, I'm also going to be adding some spinach. I have about 3 cups of spinach that I've roughly chopped up. I'm also adding a 28-ounce can of drained diced tomatoes, and I always like to use the one with Italian spices for some extra flavor. And like I said, you want to drain this, you don't want that extra liquid. Now I'm going to add half a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 teaspoon of Italian seasonings. I'm also adding a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese and 2 cups of chicken broth. Going to mix this all together, and then I'm going to add some softened cream cheese on top. You want to make sure that it's softened before you add it in. I have a block of cream cheese here, and I've cut it into cubes to make it easier to melt, and I'm just going to add that right on top. Then you want to place your lid, and you want to cook this on low for anywhere between 3 to 5 hours. It all depends on your slow cooker. Some cook faster than others. It's pretty much trial and error at first until you get to know your slow cooker. For me, I know that mine cooks pretty quickly, so I did check up on it after 3.5 hours, and it was done. So this is what my plate looks like, and this was incredibly delicious. One thing I want to mention though is that when you first open up your lid, you're going to notice that the cream cheese doesn't look completely melted, but that's completely normal. As soon as you stir everything together, it will melt completely. This has a ton of flavor. It's so simple to make. It's delicious. Trust me, give this one a try. You won't regret it. This next super simple dinner is going to be these amazingly delicious barbecue pork chops. To get started, we're going to grab a bowl and we're going to make this amazing seasoning blend. So to start off, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Then I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1.5 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1.5 teaspoon of onion powder. I'm also adding 1.5 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of celery seed. Going to mix this all together until well combined. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my pork chops. I have 5 boneless pork chops, and now I'm just going to sprinkle the seasonings on top, and using my fingers, I'm just going to rub it in, and I'm going to do this on both sides. Once your pork chops are nicely seasoned, you're going to take them over to your crock pot and place them on the bottom. Now you're going to grab your favorite barbecue sauce, and you're going to rub that very generously all over the pork chops. And again, you want to do this on both sides. Then I'm going to go ahead and cover it, and because my pork chops are small and I know they're going to cook pretty quickly, I'm going to cook them on low for 3 to 4 hours. If your pork chops are thicker, then you'll probably want to cook them for longer. These were done after 3 hours and they are perfectly tender. You can eat them as is if you want, but I'm going to take this a step further, and I'm going to transfer them onto a pan that I've covered with parchment paper, and I'm going to spread another layer of barbecue sauce on top. Now I'm going to place this under the broiler for about a minute or so until the sauce becomes nice and sticky. So here is the finished product. This is one of my favorite ways to cook pork chops. It's absolutely delicious and so flavorful. I just served it with some yummy mashed potatoes and some corn, and this was just a perfect meal. It's so very good. I highly recommend it. Next up, we have a buffalo dip chicken pasta. So for this one, you're going to need 3 to 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and I'm just going to season them with salt and pepper, as well as some garlic powder and onion powder, and I'm going to do this on both sides. Of course, you can use whichever seasonings that you prefer. Now I'm just going to go ahead and place these in my slow cooker, and then I'm going to pour 3/4 cup of buffalo sauce right on top. I'm just going to quickly spread it around, and then I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of chicken broth. You want just enough to cover the bottom of your slow cooker or crock pot. Now I'm going to cover it and cook it on low for 6 to 7 hours. So right before your chicken is done, you're going to cook your pasta. I'm using a 227 gram box of bow tie pasta, and I'm just going to cook this according to package directions. Once my chicken is cooked, I'm just going to shred it using 2 forks. As you can see, it's extremely tender and so easy to shred. Now that my chicken is shredded, I'm going to add 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt. I'm also going to add about 1/4 cup of blue cheese, as well as 1 cup of mozzarella cheese. I'm going to mix this all together till well combined, and then I'm going to stir in my pasta. Here is my plate. This was super yummy and so extremely easy to make. My kids did not like it, however, because they are young and they don't like spicy food, although it's not extremely spicy. But us adults loved it. It was really good. Let me know if you decide to give this one a try. For this next super simple dinner, I'll be making some cheesy sausage and potatoes. I'm going to start by dicing up some potatoes. Here I have 8 small potatoes. I'm just going to dump that right inside my slow cooker that I've sprayed with some cooking spray. Now I'm going to cut up some kielbasa sausage into small pieces. This is 375 grams or 14 ounces of kielbasa. Now this next step you can skip. You don't have to do this. You can just go ahead and dump everything inside the slow cooker. But I'm going to add a small diced onion to my pan here that I've heated with a little bit of oil. And I'm also going to add in my kielbasa. I'm going to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper, and I'm just going to let this saute for a few minutes until the onion starts to become tender. This is just going to give more flavor to this meal, but like I said, you can skip this part and just add the onions and sausage directly inside your slow cooker. So now I'm simply going to dump this right over my potatoes, and I'm also going to add 2.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. Gonna give this a quick mix, and then I'm gonna head on over to my bowl here, and I'm gonna add in 1 can of cream of chicken. Now to this, I'm also adding 1/2 cup of sour cream, followed by 1/2 cup of milk, and then some salt and pepper. Going to whisk this all together until it is fully combined, and then I'm going to grab this and pour my sauce all over my potatoes and my sausages. Going to give this a quick mix, and then I'm going to cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours. It all depends on your slow cooker and on the thickness of your potatoes. So mine was done after 6.5 hours. This is what it looks like, all plated up. This was super easy to put together and a great comfort food. You could also use hash browns instead of real potatoes if you want. Just make sure to adjust the cooking time, as hash browns will take less time to cook. So that is it for today's video. I hope you will give some of these recipes a try. Thank you all so much for being here and watching my videos. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, I will see you again in my next video. Bye guys.